apartment visit videos were becoming a bit repetitive, so I thought I'd switch it up a little bit. So far, I've visited around 30 apartments in this big city. That's about 27 more than I was expecting to visit. Most of it is due to the fact that I have a very limited budget in this quite expensive city. But it might also have something to do with me being picky with such a small budget. But this hunting season also stretched because of a few bad lucks. The first one was in my part 2 video. You can click here if you haven't seen it already. Remember this one? It was such a nice place. But before I had the chance to even think about it, somebody had already taken it. I remember I was so angry and so disappointed. But it turns out it wasn't such a bad luck after all. I was so blinded by the quality of this apartment compared to the crappy ones I had seen before that I completely lost touch with my budget and how much I was willing to pay. And this apartment was actually 800 yuan over my planned budget. Then my real first bad luck happened. It wasn't part of a previous video because I had found this one online and I went to visit it spontaneously without planning a full day of apartment visits like I had done for the other ones before. The Greek lady living there was looking for someone to take over her lease because she was going back to Greece. This means there were no agents involved with this transaction, and so no agent fee either. The apartment needed a bit of a painting job and a few touch-ups, but it was quite decent and quite big for such a low price. So I told the lady I was ready to sign the contract right away, and I left her place singing and dancing, thinking I had finally found a place. I should be moving in within the next 2 weeks if everything goes well. Yeah. 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 Woo! So she called the landlord, who lives in another province of China, to tell her about me and how I was a good potential tenant. But she called me back 2 days later and told me that the landlord decided to sign a contract with a Chinese girl because she thought she would stay longer in the apartment and probably be less of a source of problems than a foreigner would be. When I heard the news, I was completely devastated. I had already visited over 15 apartments, and this one was the first one I could afford that I actually wanted. I felt so desperate. I even started questioning my decision of moving to Shanghai. But the positive words of some good friends and the cheering of my mother, "I love you, Mom," got me back on track and hunting again. Talking about my mom, this is not for you guys. Hi, Mom. It's your birthday today. Happy birthday. I wish I could be there with you to give you a big hug and take you out for dinner, but I can't, and I'm really sorry about that. But I made a little something for you. You can click right here to see it if you want. Back to apartment hunting. Then another bad luck came along. It was a similar situation. I had found this apartment online, and there was a Russian girl who was going back to Russia, and she was looking for someone to take over her apartment. When I saw the apartment, I told her I wanted to take it right away. It was not the best apartment, but it was nice and it was super well located. I was so enthusiastic that I completely overlooked some obvious flaws like this thing. This one is definitely a keeper. It's nice, it's well located, it's clean and good shape. I told the tenant I was interested and I wanted to sign a lease. She said she'll contact the landlord and get back to me very quickly. But I've been so unlucky so far with apartments, I don't want to celebrate yet. And I was right. She called me back 2 days later to tell me that the landlord decided not to rent the apartment to a new tenant anymore because he preferred to renovate it and probably rent it at a higher price afterward. That's my guess. At that moment, I thought somebody had put a curse on me. Nothing was going my way. But I kept going. I think one of the main reasons I kept going is because of the fun I had making those videos and all the interesting comments and feedbacks I was getting from you guys. But then on Christmas night, I don't have any family here and I haven't made that many friends so far. So on Christmas night, I went to visit an apartment. This apartment was not in the coolest neighborhood and the best location, but it was not bad. And it was not the nicest one nor the biggest one, but again, it was not bad and it was really cheap. So I told the guy I wanted to take it right away and I gave him a deposit to make sure that he would keep the apartment for me. And I think that was the right thing to do, because the next morning he received a call from a couple who had visited the apartment before me because they wanted to take it. But it was mine. It was mine! So there you go. I finally found a place to live.